Okay, so I had to redo my live because people think this is Instagram, that they're gonna hack my phone and then kick people out of my live. So as people were joining my live, like hordes of people were getting kicked out at a time, and we're not gonna do that. I'm not an idiot, and I'm not gonna do that. So I have to start my live video that I just did, 50 seconds of recording all the way from the beginning again, and that is totally fine with me. It is what it is. So let me start from the beginning. I was talking about, I have a couple of notes here. I was talking about obstacles. So through everything that I've gone through, I've had to look at obstacles as blessings. First, it was self preservation, and I had to, you know, I'm dealing with very childish people. You are as well. If you're a victim of gang stalking, it's no different from you. You're dealing with a very childish entity, not even just a childish person. They seek out people that are in their lower nature. They seek out people that can actually find amusement from the suffering of others, and so it's not a fun experience. People purposely throw hurdles in your way to stop you from doing things that you have to do, to get in your way. Excuse me. But throughout the course of everything that I've been going through, I've definitely found that everything that was thrown my way was kind of on my path to help me. And though no one was physically, well, I had like guidance from tarot readers and stuff like that, but though no one was physically talking to me throughout my journey of being gang stalked, it's like some things would work and some things wouldn't. And I would just feel like it worked because it was supposed to work, or it doesn't work because it's not supposed to work. So to give an example, and I had to just go through multiple different scenarios and just kind of see what God would think about it. And then I developed this term where I was like, you know what? I'm going to give God something to bless. Because sometimes it's like I would push myself and I would do something and I'd be like, I know these people are going to like get in the middle of it and it's going to be annoying. It's going to be aggravating. But it was what it was. I got through it. And then there were situations where it just didn't work no matter what I tried. So I had a rebrand that I had to do. That went well. But then it was like I'd have difficulty on other things, and some things were flat out like shut down. Like there was one time where I wanted to start some sort of marketing, and it was just flat out like knocked out of my hands. It was, so it's not fun because you're working in a situation where a group of people are coming together, and you can kind of look at it in so many different ways. Like a group of people are coming together to stop everything that you're doing, or you can look at it like a reset. You're resetting your life, you're ascending yourself, and you're taking this journey of being gang stalked. Do not make it a destination. I've said that. If you can commit to going through and getting through the entire situation, it is just a journey. You're here for a spell. If you are alive 100 years and you're gang stalked even 5 years, it's not that long. Is it going to be the worst 5 years of your life? Possibly. And if there's a way that you could have years of your life that are worse than that 5 years, I shudder to think what it would be about. But I can't imagine going through gang stalking and coming out even close to who you went in as. I feel like when you come out, you're always going to be the absolute best version of yourself at all times. So whether that is, and that is going to be spiritually, because absolutely every gang stalker knows that there's something spiritual going on. So in the gang stalking circles, no one can say, oh no, this is not happening. It is what it is, and it's happening. People know that there's a spiritual component to what's going on. So some of the notes that I wrote here. If you get sick, quite possibly, maybe God didn't want you going outside that day. Maybe there's some sort of benefit to it. There's times where I had to go somewhere and I didn't end up going. There were times where, but even if it was like I genuinely just had a mishap that happened, there was something to learn from it. And so it's just felt like I've been through like a crash course, if you will. The last 2 years have been a crash course in everything. I've killed my old self entirely, everything, my old social network, my old business, my old life, my old self. I am a new person altogether. And I think that was the point. It was going through the death and rebirth process, and it was an ascension. And I was guided by God and, met my spiritual team personally that's always been there, always been with me, and it has been an extreme honor. And so if you can get through it from that perspective and just kind of look at it as leveling yourself up and seeing the positive in very horrible situations or situations that can easily be very horrible, keeping with the process and just knowing that it will incrementally always get easier, then I think you can get yourself to a point where you can actually pull through it. And if nothing else, you can get to a point where it's like, it won't shock you anymore. What used to be extremely tiring is not going to be as tiring anymore. So I talked about before things like, gang stalking made me understand people a little bit more, and maybe even be a little bit more compassionate, in a sense where I got to see, people's masks fall off, where it wasn't just a face of pettiness, but seeing people in a different light, seeing people suffer for their decisions, seeing people, understanding that people are stuck in a lifestyle and a situation and stuck with some of the choices that they made. And that it has been almost next to impossible for people like that are in that lifestyle, to get out of it. So maybe if not compassionate, then at least understanding. Maybe if not agreeing with it, then at least having a better handle on what it is. So that's been something that I've really appreciated. Blockages, like I explained before, definitely I take them to mean that I'm going the wrong way. Very grateful for them, because I would find myself constantly going through a loop, through a cycle. So it's like when doors are closed, when there's a blockage somewhere and it's not open, it means I'm not meant to like kick through it and bolt through it or get an axe and try to break it open. There's another way. There's another path of least resistance, and that is where I'm meant to go. Spiritual attacks definitely activated me into the best version of myself. I'm more spiritually aware. I am more, I'm able to heal myself. I recognize my power. I feel more in control of myself. It's really had just a very positive impact on me altogether. Not saying that it was right, and not saying that people are not going to have hell to pay for doing it. They absolutely are, and it will continue to get worse. But this is the perspective I had to take, or else I wouldn't heal. This is the perspective I had to take, or else I wouldn't get through it. And so that is the best information, the best advice I can give anybody, is you have to do your absolute best to look at the situation in the best way that you possibly can. You must, or else you're going to constantly find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're being punished and that you're waiting for God to come and get you out. And you have to more so look at it like you're walking out. You're not waiting for anyone to come get you. You're walking out. And you're walking out while learning as many things as you need to learn as possible, because you're stepping into a new reality after you get out of this. And yeah, so I actually thank God for some of these obstacles now. Looking back at it, it's like now I'm just prepared to handle obstacles. Not that I enjoy handling obstacles, but I know how to handle it. And if I were to ever get myself into any other tight situation ever again, I would just be at a point where it would just be like, you know what? I can go back into gang stalking mode. I can go back into that persona, that person that I had to be to handle gang stalking, and I really truly feel like I can handle anything. There were fears that I used to have before, like not fears, but I think they're natural apprehensions. Like whenever you're making like a huge change, you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna take this, etc. That now I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Because you truly you tend to think that nothing worse can happen than being targeted in this way. So if you get through it and you adapt to it and you do your best through it, then you really don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. It's like, you know, you're gonna be fine. Now, this is the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. So, first things first. I talked about spiritual marriage before. I talked about the fact that these people marry you into this situation. They marry you into, and I mean spiritually, and this is very real. They marry you into it. So the first thing, how is there a physical feeling when you are spiritually married into a situation? I don't know for everyone. I could speak only for myself what I felt. Now, in the beginning, I would think that I was the only person who could smell, say for example, John Fur or people energetically in my space. And then other people mentioned that they could smell sewage. Like I used to get complaints at my store that people smell sewage. My children smell it. People that I'm in the vicinity who are around, they smell it as well. So it's obviously a very real scent that everybody can smell. It's not like some superpower, because before I was like, wait a minute, like, and it's very strong. It's a very strong scent. So when this spiritual marriage thing is happening, you feel tension on your wedding ring finger. You feel tension on it, and it's almost like a pulsating feeling on your ring finger. That's what I felt. I recognized that I felt it, but I didn't know what it was at the time. Now, when you are spiritually divorced and someone tries it again and it doesn't work, you feel it, but it's like a barely there feeling, and it's not on the wedding ring finger. It's on the other hand. It's on the wrong hand, or it's on just random fingers. But you can tell that somebody's trying something. It's just not working. So that's the first thing. So if you've gone through this and you remember having a feeling of tension on your ring finger, then that's what it is. Now, in order for someone to spiritually marry you, they do not have to be of the same sex. Or sorry, they don't have to be of the opposite sex. It could be the same sex as well. It could be like somebody you know as a friend. It could be another man who calls himself your friend. It could be a sister, an existing family member, whatever. It's just somebody binding themselves to you spiritually, binding themselves to your energy. And they usually do that to siphon energy off of you. How to divorce yourself from this situation, or things that, you know, I've had to do, you know, during this situation. This is very valuable information for anybody going through it. First of all, complete isolation, because we're talking about gang stalking specifically. So gang stalking is not just one person. If you had just one person who didn't have access to a network of people stalking you, then that one person, you just isolate yourself from them and you should be fine. But in gang stalking, especially with a situation like my situation where it was with the cartel, there's a huge network of people, and so you need to isolate from anyone that is attached to that person, because when that person gets attached to you, then they control you by proxy. So whether that's from a friendship, and that's why you have handlers. So whether that's from a friendship, a karmic relationship, karmic children, whatever it is, they control you through that other person, because that other person is there. So that's number one. You need complete isolation. The other thing is, when people decide to make themselves your karmic soul tie, you do not have to keep any relationship. Whether this is a twin flame relationship, whether this is a soulmate relationship, you can give it back to God. And you can literally say, for these various reasons, I am giving this relationship back. I do not want to participate in that. And then God gets to decide whether or not you're going to remain in that situation. These people are abusing you and they have ill intent. So automatically, you're going to be let out of that situation. The key is not to be fighting back with them. And that's why it's almost like you're putting up with abuse. But you know, you really need to listen to the advice that you're being given in this situation. And you need to follow your intuition, because your intuition will tell you what's going on. You need not to be fighting back so that you're not deemed an aggressor. But even if you are fighting back, to be honest with you, even if you are fighting back, like, you can't fulfill the purpose of a contract if you're just fighting. Especially if the contracts that they take advantage of are twin flame contracts that give you a greater than normal access to a person's energy. And this is what they figured. That's why they like to steal those contracts. So nothing can be accomplished in the twin flame union if two people are fighting and cannot get along. You need to put it in God's hands and ask God to remove you from that situation. If this is a person that you had fond feelings for, or that you were sexually attracted to, you need to terminate all sexual attraction, obviously. You cannot be mentally fantasizing about this person in any way. You cannot keep any ties open to this person, and you need to perform cord cuttings all the time. You need to Google cord cuttings and perform them. You need to get these people out of your energy, and believe me, they fight to stay in your energy, because that is the only way that they can truly get in and do damage to you. So for example, I'm not outside and I'm not in contact with people, and people have really taken it like they want to get me on camera to do work on me, to do spell work on me, and that's just something that I'm not gonna allow anybody to do. So, you know, they're always gonna look for ways to just have you around, and it's just very awkward and it's very weird. It's like dirty energy, right? You need to get rid of it. Do not respond to sex magic, and they will work on you all the time. And that was something that I felt was extremely dirty and extremely abusive, because that was something that was performed on me literally the entire time. It's very disgusting. It's a disgusting feeling, and I feel like it's a spiritual violation. I really do. And it was one of the tougher things that I had to endure, but everybody is going through it. These people are essentially spiritually raping you. And that is one of the things that you literally you got to give it back to God. You do. You have to give this relationship back to God immediately and get yourself out of that contract. Get rid of any dirty money that you've been given in this situation. If God wants you out of it, God will get rid of the money. But, you know, if you want to get rid of it faster like I did, I just gave things up and I was like, look it, I'm out of here. I just gave everything back. I sold things off. I wanted out, because they remain binded to you. In addition to all the dirty work that they've done, you have this dirty money. So nothing good is going to come of your situation. And it's better, like I've said in so many other lives, it's better to be homeless than to be in possession of dirty money, of blood money. The money itself is cursed. And so the money is energetic, and it makes you share in their karma. So you need to get rid of it. You don't need to just go and give away all your possessions and give away all your money. But the way that I found it, and I just knew it in my gut, was whatever I came in with is mine. And whatever I acquired from the time that they started coming to my store, I got to get rid of it. Whatever I've sustained. And so that was what I had to do. And you have to look at your situation and like, let God figure the dollar amount out. Sometimes it'll naturally just fall out of your hands as you keep praying these prayers, and it's, repeat it. I want out of this situation. I want away from this person, get this person out of my life with conviction. Of course, you're going to say it with conviction because you're being abused, right? But let God figure out the dollar amount, and what you're going to be left with is going to be rightfully yours. And incrementally, as this happens, you're going to feel yourself be lighter and lighter and lighter in the situation. Emotionally, you're giving the contract back, and you're turning your back, and you're blocking your heart to these people. You are taking yourself out of any situation where you're feeling any compassion, You're accepting apologies. You're letting people back in. You need to block it out. What happens in a divorce, it's done and it's done forever. And that's where you need to be with things. Done forever. They're going to scrap to get back in. They're going to scrap to get back in until they're dead and gone. And I'll tell you why they're going to scrap to get back in, but they're going to use a lot of manipulation to get back in your life. They're going to use children, they're going to use exes, they're going to use Ys, they're going to use Zs, they're going to use old friends. These people were asking everywhere I went, my daughter's principal, random people on the street, what high school did you go to? Like, they want to know everything about you in every sort of way so that they can reach back to like grade 2 and be like, oh, can you go and be like long lost friends with her? That's how desperate they are to make some sort of connection. You have to divorce everything in your past, unfortunately. That is the cost of new life. I don't know how else to explain it, but I'll tell you, this thing is so deadly that I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, but it's gonna be tough for people who have children. I don't know what to say about that. If you have children in that situation and a spouse or an ex is there, you have to decide between you and God what you're gonna do. I'm not gonna give that sort of advice. I am not equipped to say, but I will tell you, anything from the past, if it's not evolving, if it's not coming out of that situation, is not, and if it's binded in there, you know, I can only tell you what I know. You gotta wait. You gotta wait through it. You gotta do your healing work. You gotta burn your candles. You gotta keep your altar up. You gotta pray night and day for God to deliver you from this situation, because the deliverance is not just getting away. It's not just turning off your phone. It's not just running. You can run, but if they have access to your energy and they have that contract to you, anything you make, any new beginnings, they are part of it. You have to get them out of your energy. You have to divorce that situation. And that can only happen through God. So it is what it is. You have to divorce out of the situation, or energetically, you're always going to be tied to it. It is a very important discussion to just divorce yourself out of that situation spiritually. Eventually, you're going to feel them out of your energy. And the more they come out of your energy, the more you're going to be allowed to step forward into the future. As you shake things off more and more, you're going to be allowed to enter into your new beginning unencumbered. You're going to feel yourself again. You'll feel it incrementally. It'll be incremental. It's not gonna, there's gonna be a day actually where you're gonna feel a huge relief. But it's only gonna get better from there. You're gonna get back to yourself. You gotta do one of two things. You either gotta ask God to be your spouse, or bring a spouse in for you. Now for me, I wasn't trying to wait for no spouse to come in or none of the above. I was like, listen, I would like to be married into my spiritual family. I would like to be married into where I'm supposed to be. Married, where that contract, that space is taken, and there's no possibility to marry me into anything. Every single day, this guy has a panic attack, and I feel on random fingers that he's trying to get back in because he's panicking. He is panicking, and this is all he knows. He's losing his mind. He has become so dependent on my energy, so dependent that he doesn't know how to live as himself anymore. He's experiencing himself. It's a dirty feeling. Avoid taking any money from them in future. They will send offers and business in different ways. So I've had so many emails from Latin countries, girls who barely can speak English. Oh, I have 1 million followers, 100,000 followers. I want to do this. I want to do that. Let's work together. Blah, 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 blah. I refuse everything. I refuse everything. From here on out, I work alone. I don't want help. I don't want friends. I don't want anything. It's just that simple for me. I don't really care what the benefits are. That's it. That's it, and that's all. There's no opening for anything because we have no space on this bus. My ancestors have occupied every seat in my heart. I'm content. I'm good. I don't care if people say I'm lonely, this and that. I'm good. When God wants me to have something, I will have it. And it will be very clear, and it will be very clearly for me. And that's how I look at life. And that is how I suggest you look at life as well. What happens after your spiritual divorce? First of all, they lose access to your energy. And usually it's because you have some sort of abundant energy. They lose access to your energy. And so they feel it. They go broke. They start losing everything. It's like God doesn't just take your energy and gives you your energy back. It's like it's replenished. All of it is taken back, like rinsed off and given to you back. So everything that they stole from you, everything that they made off of your energy is repossessed because it's now in the hands of the rightful owner. It doesn't matter how much they stole. It doesn't matter how much they took. You get everything back. That's how they start losing everything right away. And that's why they become so desperate to get you back under their clutches. They lose everything. All of the spell work that they did, it backfires immediately, and it all comes back all at once, not one at a time, all at once. So things go downhill really fast. So this is why you get yourself in a situation where you start feeling better. The gang stalking stops working. You start feeling lighter. You start being more clear-minded. The fog disappears because you were in a very oppressive situation where you were not meant to be. And so now that you found yourself and you've gotten yourself to where you are supposed to be, you're going to feel a world better. All the domination spell work over you breaks off. And the gang stalking doesn't work as it used to. So for me, I can only speak for myself. In the beginning, it was like, oh my God, the gang stalking. And then eventually it just got to the point where it's just like, these people look stupid. Because what they're doing is silly. They're probably thinking to themselves like they can't believe that it's working. They're probably thinking that. They're like, all I'm doing is like what? But it looks so dumb when somebody like just stands there and looks at you and you're just like, because the fear is gone. So you're just pushing your cart and you're like, okay. And you push it right past them and you just keep going. What are they going to do? Follow you through the aisles? Like, they don't do that because that would be creepy. The whole thing is for other people not to see that it's happening. So the fact that that's happening, it just because you're no longer under the domination work. You're no longer under the anxiety. So none of it works. But in the meantime, you really have to do your meditation. You have to balance yourself and you have to begin to acclimatize to breathing more normally and taking care of yourself. And the breath work is essential. You got to take care of yourself. When you're with someone that God has ordained for you, your world feels light and beautiful, like there is sun in your life. Everything feels abundant. Everything feels amazing. When you're with people you're not supposed to be with, it feels like gaslighting. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like there's constantly a problem. It feels like constant ridicule. It feels like people that trigger you. It feels like people you have to tolerate. So if you know you're in a situation that is, you have to endure, then you shouldn't have to endure people and you shouldn't have to heal from it. And you shouldn't have to be in your head all the time. So you will know that you're not supposed to be with people that that are around you. And if God is clearing house, whether it's family, friends, or whoever, if God is clearing house, please let God do so and take yourself out of that situation. But things will begin to blossom again when you find yourself in the right situations, the situations that you are actually supposed to be in. Move exactly the way your intuition tells you to move and never ever fear. Your intuition is going to tell you things that seem counterintuitive, and I've mentioned this all the time. Things that seem to defy logic and that don't make sense from a common sense point of view. You have to make sure that you listen to your intuition and you do what you know or feel is right. So when I was going through this situation, I constantly was, I'm talking about the cartel here. So we're talking about, violent people. And my intuition, it felt right in my intuition for me to go online and tell people like what I had been through. Sorry, I'm gonna grab my cards. And, to a logical person, that's not logical. That's scary. That's dangerous. But you know what? It's what... Oh, I always get the same cards. It's not about, for me, it wasn't really about like, what is my logic telling me? Nothing that was happening was logical. So it really just came down to like, what is my intuition telling me to do? And my intuition was saying, do what your heart is telling you to do. So if you have to find yourself in a situation, you constantly have to challenge your fear, and you have to take advantage of that situation. You find yourself in a situation where, you know, your head is telling you like, get out of a situation, be brave, do this, do that, then you absolutely have to do it, because that's your inner voice talking to you. And when you're alone, you really find yourself in a situation where that voice becomes so much louder than you can actually hear yourself, and you're not listening to outside forces. And secondly, stop taking advice from people. You're being gang stalked, first of all, but you're only being gang stalked because you're around a bunch of people that couldn't be trusted. So please do not ask people for advice while you're being gang stalked. You cannot trust anyone. And this is a big one. There is a lot of spiritual fighting over you. So you cannot be the person who delays yourself if your heart is saying something. You're not just delaying yourself, you're disappointing your ancestors as well. If you know that there is something that you need to do, you cannot be hesitating. You need to do it, because, you know, sometimes your destiny is tied up to other things, other people, other places, and it's like you got to be somewhere at a certain time. You got an elevator to catch. I've mentioned it, like you have a train to catch. You got to be where you got to be on time. So if your mind and your heart and your gut is saying something, you got to follow it. You got to be brave. You got to follow it. Use common sense, of course. Really think about safety issues, of course, but you got to be calm enough to discern if what you're feeling is truly fear, or what you're feeling is your intuition. That is, you got to be able to hear your intuition is what I'm saying. And you got to know the difference between your intuition and your fear. So you got to think about that. So I'm gonna read the cards that came out. I can't read all of them because I just keep getting the same cards all the time. Okay, these are good cards. So there's 4 of them. I'm reading all 4. First one, and this is definitely, I'm going to take this advice for myself. Don't allow negative emotions to fester. If you're feeling frustrated, angry, or hurt, for example, just acknowledge that. Instead of fighting your feelings, go with them and work with them. Then true healing can truly begin. I am constantly in a situation where somebody is doing something that crosses my barriers, but I'm handling it in a way now where I am dealing with it differently than I used to before. Before, I used to feel a need to lash out, or not lash out, but just be more, to just let those negative feelings out. And now it's like I take care of it on my own, but I have my own ways of dealing with it and making sure people understand that they've crossed a boundary with me. And I suggest you find your own situation. You know, I've had to call judgment on my situation, and not just once, as a continuous thing. And so, you know, it's just the way that I've had to live now, and it is what it is. And you know, when people are buried in their own energy enough, you just have to keep clearing your space. There's nothing that you can do, right? Sometimes walking away is the only option. Not because you want to make someone miss you or realize they took you for granted, but because you finally respect yourself enough to know that you deserve better. Biggest one for me, I've been tolerating narcissists my entire life just to avoid problems. Now it's like, you don't even get to get in. I don't let it get to a point where it's like I have to try to like get over people or any of that. It's like, it's done, I'm walking away, etc. So, excuse me, if you're in a situation with people who are mistreating you, don't try to save a relationship because it's a family member or this and that. Get out, and get out immediately. It's time to hit the reset button. Clear out the old so that room is available for the new to enter. Trust that better things are coming fast. Prepare to move to the next phase of your life. This is your rebirth. Welcome this beautiful brand new energy. You've got this. I love these cards. I always get these messages. That is exactly what I'm doing right now. It is what it is. You've, you know, killed the old version of yourself so the new version of yourself can be born. You can hit the reset button, clear out the old so that room is available for new to enter, and just, you know, being away from them is relaxing enough. So it's like, I will take it. I will take it. I don't think I went through this to be the same person or to be in the same place, and I just only welcome wherever God is taking me. And the last one, let go of the old and make way for the new. You may find yourself being distracted by random thoughts, fears, or doubts. Don't allow yourself to be governed by them. Simply observe and choose to take aligned actions and choices. For me, I persevere. I keep going. I know when I'm in alignment. I can feel it because I'm used to it now, and I know what it feels like to be misaligned, not walking the right path, not in the right place. So I know, you know, when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that is what helps me. I hope this video explanation of how to release yourself spiritually from situations helps you. This is a fundamental part of getting yourself through this journey. You are not going to accomplish very much just by like logical actions, like I said, you know, like trying to escape people following you and whatnot. You're not going to get access to a new beginning unless you can get yourself divorced out of this situation, and that is essential. Pray, 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 pray about it and get out of it and take your spiritual contract back, and make sure that you marry into your spirit team. Talk to your ancestors, talk to God about it. Like, you want out, because you want access to your, you know, whatever it is that these people were trying to steal from you. You want access to it. You want to be out of the situation. You want to break free. So that is my live for tonight. What time is it? Midnight. Probably no point in making it go live now, but that is what it is. So if you have any questions, comments, whatever, just drop a comment down, and I will try to address it in the other videos that I make. Thank you.